a deserted road under the vast desert sky, illuminated only by the faint glow of the moon. Rex, a German shepherd with years of canine training, walks cautiously, his powerful frame moving through the silence. Abandoned without explanation, his sharp eyes scan the horizon for threats. What secrets does he carry? And why was such a loyal companion left behind? This is a story of survival, loyalty, and the mysteries that will change everything. The vast Arizona desert stretched endlessly under a cold, moonlit sky. The silence of the night was broken only by the occasional whisper of the wind and the soft crunch of paws against the sandy road. Rex, a German shepherd with a sleek black and tan coat, moved cautiously, his every step deliberate. His sharp brown eyes scanned the horizon, and his ears twitched at the faintest sound. Alone in the desolation, Rex carried an air of purpose, even though the reasons for his abandonment remained shrouded in mystery. The night was bitterly cold, the kind that seeped into bones and slowed even the hardiest creatures. The wind tugged at Rex's canine vest, its reflective yellow patches catching the faint light of the moon. The vest, weathered but intact, was a silent testament to his past, a past filled with missions, loyalty, and purpose. But tonight, there was no partner by his side, no command to follow. Rex was alone. Hours had passed since Rex was left behind. He had watched the vehicle that abandoned him disappear into the horizon, its taillights fading into the darkness. Confusion had initially held him still, but instinct quickly took over. Rex was a dog trained to adapt, to think, and to survive. The desert was an unforgiving place. Predators lurked in the shadows and water was scarce. Rex relied on his finely tuned senses, the culmination of years of rigorous training. His nose picked up faint scents in the air, trace amounts of moisture, the distant aroma of vegetation, and the musk of nearby wildlife. His ears swiveled, catching the rustle of a snake sliding across the sand and the distant cry of an owl. He was alert to everything, missing nothing. Rex's first priority was water. Guided by his sense of smell, he followed the faint trace of damp earth, leading him to a small puddle nestled in the shadow of a rock. He drank cautiously, knowing that even this limited supply could be the difference between life and death in the desert. The desert was alive in the dark. Every shadow seemed to shift, and every sound carried a sense of threat. A coyote howled in the distance, a chilling reminder that Rex was not the only predator in the area. His muscles tensed, and his stance became defensive as he scanned his surroundings. Though he was alone, Rex's training made him a formidable opponent. He could take down threats with precision, but tonight he chose caution. It was survival, not combat, that mattered. As the hours wore on, Rex's pace remained steady. His movements were calculated, each step avoiding the jagged rocks and thorny plants that littered the ground. Occasionally he paused, lifting his head high to catch the faintest scents on the wind. His eyes reflected the light of the moon, giving him an almost otherworldly appearance as he navigated the vast, empty terrain. Though Rex moved with purpose, there was a sadness in his gait, a heaviness that came not from physical exhaustion, but from the weight of abandonment. Memories flickered in his mind, the sound of his handler's voice, the pat on his head after a successful mission, the sense of pride when he wore his vest. But tonight, those memories felt like distant echoes, replaced by the reality of isolation. Rex didn't understand why he had been left behind. Had he failed? Was he no longer needed? These questions lingered, but they didn't deter him. Rex was trained to follow orders, to complete tasks, but without guidance, he relied on his instincts. He knew he couldn't afford to dwell on the unknown. Survival demanded his full attention. As the night wore on, Rex's keen senses picked up on something unusual, a faint sound carried by the wind, almost imperceptible to human ears. His ears perked and his body tensed as he froze in place. His eyes scanned the darkness, and his nose worked overtime to identify the source. A pair of glowing eyes appeared in the distance, low to the ground and moving cautiously. It was a lone coyote, its lean frame barely visible in the shadows. Rex held his ground, his stance firm and unyielding. The coyote stopped, its eyes locked on Rex. For a moment, the two predators stared each other down, a silent battle of wills. Then, as if recognizing Rex's dominance, the coyote slinked away, disappearing into the darkness. Rex exhaled silently, his body relaxing slightly. He resumed his journey, but the encounter served as a reminder that the desert was not a place for the weak or the unprepared. Every moment required vigilance, and every step could lead to danger. As the first hints of dawn began to touch the horizon, the cold of the night began to lift. Rex paused at the top of a small rise, his silhouette framed against the pale light of the coming day. His eyes scanned the terrain below, a vast expanse of sand and rock with no sign of civilization in sight. But Rex didn't give up. He had faced worse odds before and come out victorious. The faint sound of an engine reached his ears, distant but distinct. Rex's ears swiveled and his body tensed. A vehicle was approaching, its headlights cutting through the early morning haze. Rex didn't move immediately. He remained still, observing, calculating. The vehicle came closer, its engine a low rumble against the quiet of the desert. As it passed, Rex's nose picked up something familiar, a scent that stirred something deep within him. His eyes followed the vehicle as it disappeared into the distance, his instincts urging him to investigate. But Rex stayed put, his years of training teaching him to wait, to assess before acting. Rex resumed his walk, his focus unwavering. The world around him was vast and unforgiving, but Rex was determined. His sharp eyes caught movement in the distance, a small grove of trees, a potential refuge from the harshness of the desert. His pace quickened slightly, his body moving with renewed purpose. The mysteries of the night lingered in his mind, but Rex didn't dwell on them. He was a survivor, a protector, and above all, a loyal companion. Whatever had brought him to this place, he knew his story was far from over. As the sun began to rise, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Rex's silhouette stood tall against the desert backdrop. He was alone, but not defeated. The road ahead was uncertain, but Rex was ready for whatever challenges awaited him. The morning sun rose steadily over the barren desert, casting long shadows across the rugged terrain. The world seemed desolate, the silence broken only by the occasional chirp of birds and the whisper of the wind. Alex Carter gripped the steering wheel of his aging pickup truck, his eyes scanning the horizon with a mix of determination and weariness. He had been driving for hours, following vague leads and faint clues about his father's disappearance. For months, Alex had been chasing whispers, a photograph here, a rumor there. Each thread led to dead ends, but he couldn't give up. His father, David Carter, had vanished without a trace 6 months ago, leaving behind only questions and a void that Alex couldn't fill. Today, he was heading toward Flagstaff, his truck kicking up a trail of dust on the lonely desert road. As Alex crested a small rise, something unusual caught his attention. A figure moved in the distance, a dark shape against the pale landscape. Squinting, he realized it was a dog, a German shepherd, walking purposefully along the side of the road. Its coat, sleek and tan with black accents, shimmered faintly in the sunlight. What struck Alex was the dog's posture, alert, confident, and oddly deliberate, as if it wasn't wandering aimlessly but heading somewhere specific. Curiosity got the better of him. Alex slowed the truck, the tires crunching against the gravel as he pulled over. He stepped out cautiously, not wanting to startle the dog. "Hey there, buddy," he called softly, his voice hesitant but kind. The dog stopped in its tracks, turning its sharp brown eyes toward him. For a moment, Alex felt as though the animal was studying him, evaluating his intentions. There was something intelligent, almost human, in the way the dog tilted its head and watched him. Alex knelt down, holding out a hand. "It's okay," he murmured. "I won't hurt you." The German shepherd hesitated, its muscles taut as if ready to spring away at the first sign of danger. But then, slowly and deliberately, it approached. Alex noticed the black and yellow vest it wore, emblazoned with the letters K9. The reflective patches glinted in the sunlight, confirming that this was no ordinary stray. "You're not just any dog, are you?" Alex said, his tone filled with wonder. The dog sniffed his hand briefly before sitting back on its haunches, watching him intently. Alex reached out tentatively, brushing his fingers along the dog's coat. It felt warm, alive and strong. There was an undeniable sense of purpose in the animal's presence, as though it had been trained for something far beyond ordinary companionship. Looking around, Alex saw no sign of an owner or a vehicle. The road stretched endlessly in both directions, with nothing but desert as far as the eye could see. He frowned, wondering how a trained K9 dog had ended up alone in such a remote place. "You've been out here for a while, haven't you?" he asked softly, glancing at the worn patches on the vest. The dog didn't respond, of course, but its ears twitched at the sound of his voice, as if it understood. Alex sighed, standing up and brushing dust off his jeans. "All right, buddy," he said, gesturing toward the truck. "You can't stay out here. Come with me. We'll figure it out together." The dog didn't move at first, its gaze fixed on Alex as if considering his offer. Then, with a calm, deliberate motion, it walked toward the truck and waited by the passenger door. Alex chuckled, shaking his head in disbelief. "You really are something else," he muttered, opening the door. The dog climbed in gracefully, settling onto the seat with the composure of someone who had done this 100 times before. Alex got behind the wheel, glancing at his unexpected passenger. "I guess it's you and me now," he said, starting the engine. The truck rumbled to life and they set off down the road together. As they drove, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter was more than coincidence. The dog, whose tagless vest provided no identification, seemed too well trained and composed to have been abandoned without reason. Who had left it behind, and why? The dog's sharp eyes scanned the road ahead, its ears perked at every sound. Alex caught himself stealing glances, marveling at the animal's focus. "What's your story, huh?" he asked aloud, half expecting an answer. Though the dog didn't respond, its presence was oddly comforting. Alex felt a strange sense of connection, as though they were kindred spirits, both searching for something, both lost in their own way. The sun climbed higher in the sky, bathing the desert in golden light. After an hour of driving, Alex pulled into a rest stop on the outskirts of a small town. He parked under the shade of a lone tree and grabbed a bottle of water from the back seat. "You must be thirsty," he said, pouring some water into a shallow dish he found in the truck bed. The dog watched him for a moment before stepping forward to drink, its movements precise and controlled. Alex leaned against the truck, watching in silence. He had never been particularly drawn to dogs before, but there was something about this one, its quiet strength, its intelligence, that intrigued him. It felt less like adopting a stray and more like forming a partnership. "I should probably give you a name," he mused, tapping his chin. "How about Rex?" The dog paused mid-drink, looking up at him with those piercing brown eyes. Alex laughed. "Yeah, Rex. It suits you." As the day wore on, Alex found himself talking to Rex as though they'd known each other for years. He recounted stories of his childhood, his relationship with his father, and the frustration of his seemingly endless search. Rex listened intently, his eyes never leaving Alex's face. For the first time in months, Alex felt a flicker of hope. This chance encounter with Rex didn't feel random. It felt like the beginning of something important. He didn't know it yet, but the decision to take Rex with him would set in motion events that would change both their lives forever. The quiet hum of the engine accompanied Alex and Rex as they ventured farther into the Arizona wilderness. The bond between them was growing, but Alex couldn't ignore the peculiar behavior Rex had begun to exhibit. The dog, who seemed content yet intensely alert, often stared out the window as though searching for something unseen. When they stopped for breaks, Rex would sniff the air, his ears twitching at distant sounds, and sometimes he would insist on wandering off the beaten path. A week after taking Rex in, Alex noticed a pattern. Rex wasn't merely exploring or indulging his instincts. His movements were deliberate. Each time they stopped, Rex led Alex to something out of the ordinary. A rusted mailbox in the middle of nowhere, tire tracks veering off into the desert, and once an old photo frame discarded near a roadside ditch. At first, Alex thought it was coincidence, but as the days went by, the discoveries became harder to dismiss. The object seemed random, yet Rex's persistence suggested otherwise. Each time the dog would pause, look back at Alex, and wag his tail just once, as if to say, "This is important." One afternoon, Rex's behavior became more insistent. They had stopped at a small diner near a service station to grab lunch. While Alex was paying for his meal, Rex began pawing at the truck's door, barking softly. It was the first time Alex had heard Rex bark since they met. "What is it, boy?" Alex asked, hurrying to the truck. Rex jumped out the moment the door opened, his nose to the ground, as he followed a scent that seemed to grow stronger by the second. Alex jogged after him, calling out, but Rex didn't slow down. His path led them away from the diner, down a dusty, overgrown trail. After about 15 minutes of trekking, Alex spotted something in the distance, a building partially hidden by a cluster of trees. As they drew closer, the structure came into view, an abandoned warehouse, its walls weathered by time and the desert winds. The building was eerily quiet, its windows dark, and its door slightly ajar. Alex hesitated, glancing at Rex, whose body was tense and alert. "You want me to go in there, don't you?" Alex muttered. Rex's response was immediate, a single wag of his tail and a forward step toward the entrance. The air inside was stale, filled with the smell of dust and rust. Sunlight filtered through broken windows, casting long shadows across the cluttered floor. Stacks of old crates and shelves lined the walls, some toppled over as if someone had been searching for something in a hurry. Rex moved purposefully, his nose leading him to a corner of the warehouse where several crates had been hastily pushed aside. He began pawing at the floor, letting out a soft whine. Alex knelt beside him, pushing the crates away to reveal what Rex had found, a torn piece of fabric caught on a nail. Alex picked up the fabric and froze. It was part of a jacket, but not just any jacket. He recognized the material and the pattern instantly. It matched the one his father always wore on assignments. His mind raced. What was his father's jacket doing in an abandoned warehouse? And why had Rex led him here? Alex's grip on the fabric tightened as he looked around the room with fresh eyes, noticing details he had missed before. Tire tracks in the dust, fresh scuff marks on the floor, and a pile of discarded wrappers in the corner. "This place hasn't been empty for long," Alex muttered to himself. Rex stood beside him, his ears perked and his gaze fixed on the door, as though anticipating something or someone. Searching further, Alex found a partially hidden folder tucked under one of the crates. Inside were maps, notes, and photographs, all marked with initials he recognized. D.C., David Carter, his father. The documents detailed a project involving data security, but the specifics were unclear. What stood out most was a hand-drawn map of the surrounding area, with a location circled in red just a few miles away. "This is what you wanted me to find, isn't it?" Alex asked, looking at Rex. The dog's calm demeanor was almost unnerving, as though he understood far more than he should. As Alex loaded the documents into his backpack, he couldn't shake the realization that Rex wasn't an ordinary stray. Everything about the dog, from his keen intelligence to his extraordinary instincts, hinted at a greater purpose. Alex began piecing together the clues: Rex's abandoned state, his K9 training, and his uncanny ability to lead Alex to significant discoveries. "Who are you, really?" Alex asked, half joking, scratching behind Rex's ears. The dog leaned into the touch but kept his eyes on the warehouse door, his focus unwavering. Alex's thoughts turned to his father. Could David have known about Rex? Was the dog somehow connected to his disappearance? The questions swirled in Alex's mind, but one thing was certain. Rex wasn't just a lost dog. He was a guide, a protector, and perhaps the key to unraveling a much larger mystery. Back in the truck, Alex spread the map across the dashboard. The circled location wasn't far, and he decided to investigate it immediately. As they drove, Rex sat upright in the passenger seat, his eyes fixed on the road ahead. It was as if he understood the gravity of their mission. "I don't know how you're tied to all this," Alex said, glancing at Rex, "but I'm glad I found you, or maybe you found me." Rex didn't respond, of course, but his calm presence was answer enough. For the first time since his father's disappearance, Alex felt like he was making progress, real progress, and he had Rex to thank for it. The early morning sun streamed through the windows of Alex's truck as he pulled into the parking lot of a small veterinary clinic. The sign above the door read, "Dr. Linda Carter, Compassionate Care for All Creatures." Rex, sitting stoically in the passenger seat, gazed at the building with his usual calm intensity. Alex had debated whether to bring Rex here, but the dog's extraordinary behavior and the growing mystery surrounding his connection to Alex's father left him with little choice. If Rex held any secrets, Alex was determined to uncover them. Dr. Linda Carter, a warm woman in her early 40s with auburn hair tied neatly in a ponytail, greeted Alex and Rex with a welcoming smile. "What a beautiful German shepherd," she remarked, kneeling to inspect Rex. "He looks strong and healthy. What brings you in today?" Alex hesitated, unsure of how much to reveal. "I found him a week ago on a deserted road. He's been different. He's not just a stray. I think he's trained, maybe military or police." Linda nodded, her expression turning serious. "Let's give him a thorough examination. If he's a working dog, there might be more to him than meets the eye." Rex stood calmly as Linda ran her hands over his body, checking for injuries or signs of distress. When she passed a scanner over his shoulder, a faint beep broke the silence. Linda frowned, holding the device closer. "He's chipped," she said. "That's not unusual for K9 dogs, but this is different." Alex leaned forward, his curiosity piqued. "What do you mean?" "The chip's encryption is unlike anything I've seen before," Linda explained, adjusting her scanner. "It's not just for identification. This appears to have a secondary function." Linda connected her scanner to a nearby laptop, the screen lighting up with lines of indecipherable code. She squinted at the data. "This isn't a standard microchip. It's storing something. Files, maybe. And it's heavily encrypted." Alex's pulse quickened. "Can you access it?" "I can try," Linda replied, her fingers flying across the keyboard. "But if this is as advanced as it looks, it might take a while." As Linda worked, Alex couldn't help but glance at Rex. The dog sat quietly, his posture rigid, as if he understood the gravity of the situation. "What are you hiding, buddy?" Alex muttered under his breath. Minutes stretched into an hour as Linda delved deeper into the chip's data. Finally, she sat back, her expression a mix of awe and confusion. "I managed to unlock a small portion," she said. "The chip is linked to something called the Digital Guardian program. Does that mean anything to you?" Alex shook his head. "No, but it sounds important." Linda nodded. "From what I can gather, this program isn't just about training dogs. It's about using them as part of a sophisticated security system. The chip in Rex doesn't just store data, It interacts with specific devices and systems, almost like a key. A key to what? Alex asked, his mind racing. That's the million-dollar question, Linda said, leaning forward. But here's the thing. This level of encryption isn't typical. This is military grade. Whoever created this didn't just want to protect Rex, they wanted to protect whatever he's carrying. Alex stared at the screen, his thoughts spinning. Is there any way to find out more? Linda hesitated. I'll need more advanced equipment to decode the rest of the chip. But from what I've seen, this program, Digital Guardian, isn't just any security initiative. It's big, Alex. Big enough that someone might be willing to go to extreme lengths to keep it hidden. The name Digital Guardian stirred something in Alex's memory. He recalled snippets of conversations with his father, vague mentions of projects involving data security and advanced technology. At the time, Alex hadn't paid much attention, dismissing them as part of his father's secretive work. But now, the pieces were beginning to fit together. My dad, Alex began, his voice shaky. He used to work on classified projects. Could this program be related to him? It's possible, Linda said carefully. If Rex was part of your father's work, then finding out more about this program might be the key to uncovering what happened to him. As they left the clinic, Alex's mind was buzzing with possibilities. Rex walked beside him, his steps measured and confident. Alex looked down at the dog, a newfound respect and gratitude filling his chest. You're not just a dog, are you? Alex said softly, reaching down to scratch Rex behind the ears. The German shepherd leaned into his touch, his calm demeanor offering a silent affirmation. This wasn't a chance encounter. Rex hadn't wandered into Alex's life by accident. He was a guide, a protector, and, now Alex realized, a living repository of secrets. Back in the truck, Alex reviewed the map and documents they had found in the warehouse. His father's initials, the encrypted chip, the mysterious program, it all pointed to something much bigger than a missing persons case. Alex felt a spark of determination ignite within him. We'll figure this out, he said, glancing at Rex. We'll find him. Rex, ever composed, looked at Alex with those intelligent brown eyes. It was as if he understood every word, his silent loyalty a reassurance that Alex wasn't in this alone. The sun hung low in the sky as Alex drove deeper into the Arizona desert, the unease in his chest offset by Rex's quiet confidence beside him. Clutched in his hand was a map marked with his father's handwriting, a route leading to a facility labeled simply as Data Center. It was a name Alex remembered vaguely from his childhood, mentioned in hushed conversations about his father's work. Rex sat upright in the passenger seat, his sharp eyes fixed on the road ahead. Alex couldn't shake the feeling that Rex understood far more than he let on. His calm demeanor, a silent assurance that they were on the right path. The facility emerged on the horizon, a sleek, modern building surrounded by a chain-link fence and security cameras. The sight of it sent a chill down Alex's spine. His father had spent years working here, but Alex had never been allowed to visit. Now he was about to step into a world that had always been kept hidden from him. Rex's ears perked as they approached the entrance, his body tensing in anticipation. Alex parked the truck a safe distance away, his heart pounding as he surveyed the area. The facility seemed quiet, but the presence of guards patrolling the perimeter hinted at something more. All right, Rex, Alex muttered, gripping his backpack. This is it. Let's see what we can find. Rex jumped out of the truck, his movements precise and deliberate. Together they made their way toward the fence, staying low to avoid detection. Rex led the way, his keen nose guiding them to a section of the fence partially concealed by overgrown bushes. With a quiet bark, Rex signaled to Alex, who quickly cut through the chain link with wire cutters he had packed for the occasion. The interior of the data center was eerily quiet, the hum of servers filling the air. The sleek hallways were dimly lit, their sterility adding to the sense of unease. Rex moved with purpose, his paws making almost no sound against the tiled floor. Alex followed, his nerves on edge. Rex led him to a side corridor, stopping at a heavy steel door. The dog turned to Alex and barked softly, his tail wagging once. "This is the place, isn't it?" Alex whispered, inspecting the door. A keypad blinked beside it, requiring both a keycard and a code. Alex felt a surge of frustration. How could they get past this? But Rex seemed unbothered. He stepped closer to the door, his shoulder brushing against the keypad. A faint beep echoed through the corridor as the chip in Rex's body transmitted a signal. Moments later, the door unlocked with a quiet click. Alex stared at Rex, his amazement growing. "You're incredible," he murmured, stepping inside. The room was filled with rows of monitors and servers, their screens displaying streams of encrypted data. At the far end of the room stood a desk piled high with documents and files. Alex approached cautiously, flipping through the papers. Many were technical schematics and project notes, but one file caught his eye, a folder labeled Digital Guardian Classified. Opening it, Alex found detailed information about the program Rex had been part of. The Digital Guardian initiative wasn't just about training dogs, it was about creating living security systems. Rex and others like him were designed to detect and protect critical data, their microchips containing encryption keys that could access restricted systems. But as Alex read further, a darker picture emerged. The program had been sabotaged from within, its resources redirected towards illegal activities. The name Thomas Grayson appeared repeatedly in the documents. He had been the program's head, but now it seemed he had used it to manipulate and exploit sensitive data for personal gain. Alex turned to Rex, who was standing beside another monitor, his gaze fixed on the screen. Following the dog's lead, Alex activated the monitor, which required Rex's chip to grant access. The display lit up with a series of files marked with his father's initials, DC. The files revealed that David Carter had discovered Grayson's corruption and had been gathering evidence to expose him. Knowing he was in danger, David had encoded the most critical data into Rex's microchip, a move that would ensure the information couldn't be easily stolen or destroyed. Alex felt a lump form in his throat as he pieced it together. His father hadn't abandoned Rex. He had entrusted him with a mission. Rex wasn't just a companion. He was a guardian of the truth. The deeper Alex delved into the files, the more horrifying the conspiracy became. Grayson had used the Digital Guardian program to gain access to corporate and government systems, altering records and funneling millions of dollars into hidden accounts. The program had been shut down officially, but Grayson had continued his operations in secret, using the data center as his base. One file in particular caught Alex's attention. It detailed a secret meeting that had taken place shortly before his father's disappearance. The notes indicated that David had confronted Grayson with his findings, threatening to go public. The last entry read, "Meeting failed. Prepare for contingencies." Alex clenched his fists, anger and determination surging within him. His father had tried to do the right thing, and now it was up to Alex to finish what he started. Before Alex could gather all the files, the sound of footsteps echoed through the hallway. Rex's ears perked, and he growled softly, his body tensing as the danger grew closer. Alex quickly stuffed the documents into his backpack and shut down the monitors. Rex led him to a small maintenance hatch at the back of the room, his instincts guiding them to safety. They crawled through a narrow ventilation shaft, the sound of approaching guards growing louder. Alex's heart pounded as they emerged outside, slipping into the shadows, just as the guards entered the room they had vacated. Back in the safety of his truck, Alex spread the documents across the dashboard. The truth was finally coming into focus. His father had sacrificed everything to protect the integrity of the Digital Guardian program and stop Grayson's corruption. Now Alex had the evidence to continue his work. Rex sat beside him, his calm gaze a steady reminder of the bond they had formed. "You were never abandoned, were you?" Alex said softly, stroking Rex's fur. "You were sent to find me." Rex's tail wagged slightly as if to confirm Alex's words. The midnight air was tense as Alex and Rex approached the data center once more. This time, they weren't sneaking in to uncover secrets. They were coming to confront Thomas Grayson and bring his corruption to light. With Rex by his side and the evidence from his father's files secured, Alex felt a mix of determination and dread. The truth had been buried for too long, and now it was time to unearth it, no matter the cost. The plan was simple, but risky. Alex had studied the building's layout from the documents they recovered and identified a secondary control room where Grayson likely stored his most sensitive data. With Rex's advanced training and his own resourcefulness, Alex hoped to access the control room, download the evidence, and escape before being discovered. Rex led the way, his instincts and keen senses guiding them through the building's shadows. As they moved through the darkened corridors, Alex couldn't help but feel a sense of déjà vu. This was the same place where his father had walked, gathering the courage to stand up against Grayson's betrayal. Reaching the secondary control room wasn't easy. The hallway leading to it was lined with security cameras and motion sensors. Rex's training proved invaluable as he stopped Alex just before they triggered a hidden laser grid. The German Shepherd sniffed out the path, weaving through the beams with practiced precision, while Alex followed closely behind. At the control room door, Alex retrieved a device he had prepared, a small signal jammer to temporarily disable the lock. With a faint beep, the door clicked open, and they slipped inside. Inside the room, monitors displayed real-time feeds of the facility's systems. Rows of servers hummed softly, their lights blinking like tiny stars. Alex began searching for the terminal that would grant him access to Grayson's encrypted files. Rex, meanwhile, stood guard at the door, his ears twitching at every sound. As Alex plugged in his father's drive to download the files, a voice from behind startled him. "Well, I wasn't expecting you to come this far, Alex." Alex spun around to see Thomas Grayson standing in the doorway, flanked by two guards. His calm demeanor and calculating gaze sent a chill down Alex's spine. "And you brought the dog," Grayson continued, his eyes narrowing at Rex. "I always knew he'd lead someone back here, but I never expected it to be you." Before Alex could respond, a shadow moved behind Grayson. The guards tensed as another figure stepped into the room, a man Alex hadn't seen in years. "Dad!" Alex's voice was barely a whisper. David Carter stood before him, alive but visibly worn from years of hiding. His presence was both a relief and a shock, raising 1,000 questions in Alex's mind. "Alex," David said, his voice filled with both urgency and emotion, "I never wanted you to be part of this, but it seems fate had other plans." Grayson smirked. "Touching reunion, but this doesn't change anything. The evidence you've gathered will never leave this room." David stepped forward, placing himself between Grayson and Alex. "You've already lost, Thomas. Alex has the truth, and Rex is living proof of everything you've tried to destroy." Grayson's expression darkened. "You don't understand, David. The program was too powerful, too dangerous. I didn't shut it down for profit. I did it to protect the system from collapsing." "That's a lie," David shot back. "You exploited the program for your gain, manipulating data and selling access to the highest bidder. The Digital Guardian program was meant to safeguard truth, and you turned it into a weapon of deceit." The tension in the room was palpable. Grayson signaled his guards, who raised their weapons. Rex immediately stepped forward, his body low and his teeth bared. The guards hesitated, clearly intimidated by the trained German Shepherd. "Don't do this, Thomas," David warned. "It's over. The evidence is out there. Even if you stop us, the truth will come to light." Grayson laughed bitterly. "You think I'm afraid of the truth? I control the narrative, David. I always have." Suddenly, Rex lunged, disarming one of the guards in a flash of movement. Alex seized the opportunity to grab the weapon and aim it at Grayson. "Call them off," Alex demanded, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. Grayson hesitated, weighing his options. Finally, he raised his hand, signaling his men to stand down. Rex returned to Alex's side, his posture still alert and ready. David stepped closer to Alex, his eyes filled with pride and regret. "You've done more than I ever could, son. I'm sorry I left you, but I had to protect you and your mother. If Grayson knew you existed, he would have used you against me." Alex shook his head, his emotions boiling over. "You didn't have to do it alone. We could have fought this together." David placed a hand on Alex's shoulder. "Now we can." With Rex standing guard, Alex completed the download of Grayson's files, including records of his illegal dealings and evidence of the program's true purpose. The data was enough to bring down Grayson and everyone involved in his conspiracy. As they exited the facility, alarms began to blare. Grayson, unwilling to give up, had activated the security system, hoping to trap them inside. But Rex's training proved invaluable once again. The dog led them through an alternate route, avoiding patrols and automated defenses. David stumbled as they reached the exit, clearly weakened from years of hardship. Alex supported him, while Rex took the lead, his instincts guiding them to safety. They emerged into the cool desert night, the stars above a stark contrast to the chaos they left behind. Back in the safety of their truck, Alex looked at his father, the weight of the night's events finally hitting him. "What happens now?" David smiled faintly, glancing at Rex. "We finish what we started. Together." Rex wagged his tail once, his calm presence a reassurance that the fight wasn't over. Alex knew that with his father by his side and Rex as their steadfast ally, they had a chance to expose the truth and bring justice to those who had corrupted it. The morning sun cast its golden light over the city as Alex, David, and Rex sat in the federal building's briefing room. The air buzzed with urgency and relief as agents worked tirelessly to process the mountain of evidence they had collected. The files from the data center, Rex's encoded microchip, and David's testimony painted a damning picture of Thomas Grayson's corruption. Alex glanced at his father, who looked tired but resolute. Rex lay at Alex's feet, his watchful eyes scanning the room. Though their journey had been perilous, they had achieved what once seemed impossible, uncovering the truth and ensuring justice. Thomas Grayson had been apprehended shortly after Alex and David escaped the data center. Federal agents swarmed the facility, arresting Grayson and his accomplices before they could destroy additional evidence. The former head of the Digital Guardian program sat in a holding cell, his arrogance replaced by quiet desperation. The weight of his crimes, manipulating data, betraying public trust, and exploiting a groundbreaking program for personal gain, was undeniable. Watching the news reports of Grayson's arrest, Alex felt a sense of closure. The man who had caused so much pain and nearly destroyed the legacy of the Digital Guardian program would finally face the consequences of his actions. With Grayson's removal, the Digital Guardian program was officially reinstated. Now, under the leadership of ethical professionals, it was poised to become a beacon of integrity and innovation. David's knowledge and Alex's determination made them key contributors to the program's restoration. At the program's headquarters, Alex marveled at the dedication of the new team. The once secretive initiative now embraced transparency, ensuring that its powerful technology would be used for the greater good. Rex, who had proven himself as more than just a trained K9, became a symbol of the program's ideals: loyalty, courage, and the relentless pursuit of truth. Rex had always been more than a dog. He was a guardian, a protector, and now a bridge between past mistakes and a hopeful future. Though the program offered to reintegrate him as a digital guardian, Alex refused to let him go. "He's done enough for the program," Alex told the director during a meeting. "Now it's time for him to just be part of our family." Rex's contributions were celebrated in a ceremony honoring the program's revival. The German shepherd stood proudly beside Alex and David, his calm demeanor capturing the admiration of everyone in attendance. For Alex and David, the journey had been transformative. The years of separation and unanswered questions had strained their relationship, but the shared experience of uncovering the truth brought them closer than ever. David opened up about the sacrifices he had made to protect Alex and the family, his regret evident in every word. "I didn't want to leave," David said one evening as they sat on the porch of Alex's small home. "But I couldn't let Grayson come after you. You were my reason to keep fighting." Alex placed a hand on his father's shoulder. "You don't have to fight alone anymore." Rex lay at their feet, his head resting on his paws, a silent witness to the bond being mended. The evidence from Rex's microchip and the data center uncovered far-reaching corruption that extended beyond Grayson. Several high-profile arrests followed, dismantling a network of individuals who had profited from data manipulation. The Digital Guardian program, now rebuilt with integrity, became a powerful tool for protecting digital security and ensuring accountability. David, with his decades of expertise, became a trusted advisor to the program. Alex, inspired by his father's resilience, took on an active role in public outreach, sharing their story to inspire others. Life for Alex, David, and Rex settled into a new rhythm. Alex returned to his small-town roots, renovating his home to include a large yard for Rex to roam freely. David moved in temporarily, enjoying the peace and rebuilding his connection with his son. Rex, no longer burdened by missions and secrets, embraced his role as a loyal companion. Though his training never left him, his keen senses and disciplined nature remained intact. He seemed to revel in the simple joys of family life. Whether chasing a ball in the yard or lying by the fireplace during quiet evenings, Rex had found his place. One crisp morning, Alex stood in the yard with Rex, the horizon painted in shades of orange and gold. As he watched the dog explore the grass with his usual precision, Alex felt a deep sense of gratitude. "You saved us," Alex said quietly, kneeling to stroke Rex's fur. "Not just me, but my dad, the program, everything. I owe you more than I can ever repay." Rex looked at him, his intelligent eyes full of calm assurance. He didn't need words to convey his loyalty. His actions had always spoken louder than anything else.